Behind each picture, each memory, each face is a story, a history book written by our DNA that maps the journey taken by those who came before. And for the first time, I'm taking an in-depth look at my ancestors and the origin of my family tree. Getting started was easy. I received a DNA kit in the mail from GeneTree. Inside, instructions, mouthwash, and a baggie. After swishing for several minutes, I spit my DNA into the cup and sent it on its way back to GeneTree for processing. Then, after 8 weeks, my results arrived. Of course, I already had an idea of who and where my ancestors were from, but the results, well, they were still surprising.
You are, of all of the ones that we've done so far, show two major extremes.
To help me break it all down, I enlisted the help of Scott Woodward, genealogy expert and founding member of GeneTree. We began by looking at my mother and her family.
When we put your mitochondrial DNA into the database, the information that we have from your DNA, we literally find 1,000 people that connect to you based on your DNA.
One of 12 kids, my mom's roots extend back to Europe, the birthplace of many of her ancient relatives.
If you look in the world today, where do we find other people that share your DNA sequence almost exactly? We found them in the United States. We found them in Switzerland. We found them in Russia. We find them in Yugoslavia. We find them in Mexico.
And what about famous relatives? Scott says I share an ancient maternal ancestor with Marie Antoinette.
You have a line that goes back to an ancestor. She has a line that goes back to an ancestor, and they meet someplace back in the past.
Now, moving on to my dad, Richard Regalado. Who and where are his predecessors from?
On your father's side, that you belong to a group that's called O3. O3 is very definitely an Asian type. And we see a lot of people who have O3 in the Philippines.
Which is exactly where my grandfather, Eduardo Regalado, was born and raised. From there, his roots extend all the way to Southeast Asia.
The DNA type actually is older than the use of surnames.
In other words, Regalado is most likely a surname. An important fact, as Scott says, I have a close connection to a person with the last name Espinoza in Peru.
There's a lot of interesting possibilities there, and that's where sometimes the DNA and other parts of your genealogy lead to very interesting stories.